Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engaged. Engaged. Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeedly do. Here we are again, me and you. And you and I, imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the audience you love and to treat them right. So happy together. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't help myself. I love you guys. I really do. Let's just end it here. I said on a positive vibe. I said I love you. Let's just let it go. Hey-o. Oh, man. We're engaged once again here on Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, as I always do, I appreciate your time so much to be here with me on this beautiful program that is designed, or at least, has the intention of creating a space of happiness and love and joy and togetherness and just a nice smile. And how do you do? How are you? Hope all's well with you. It's really true, All right, so hey, hello and welcome, by the way. My name is Pete Palma. I am your user-friendly host. I am broadcasting live from the comfy confines of my very own home here in beautiful Florida, ladies and gentlemen. I always have to say beautiful Florida because it is so beautiful here. For those of you who, I don't need to go on a point about where I am, but of course I come from the Northeast Corridor area, and, what a difference. What a difference what a difference 1,000 miles makes. That's what I should say, because it's about 1,000 miles door to door from my old home to where I am now. So what a difference 1,000 miles makes. Absolutely. So imagine if you go 2,000 miles, how much better things could be. So anyway, what am I talking about? Let's get to the point. Hello and welcome. This is Operation Status Quo, the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life. And then, of course, we create our own flow of quo, because that's the only way to go. Yes. And, of course, that is the most important part of what I like to get across to the beautiful people of the world out there is about the power we each have to choose what's right for us in our lives, not worrying about pleasing others. And the most fundamental thing is it's not about being a jerk. Right? We can't be a jerk. You got to be nice to people. Got to be nice. You got to be nice, respectful, courteous, and aware that we're all fellow human beings, all one energy, really, on a journey. So we can't make too many judgments. We shouldn't make any judgments, really. But once in a while, a judgment or two might slip in there. But in general, we don't want to judge. We don't want to judge. We just want to be nice and let live and let live, as they would say, right? But we also don't have to go down the path that does not, resonate with us either, right? So if you're involved with people in your life or situations in your life, whether it be whatever, jobs, family, whatever's going on, if there's things that don't sit right with you, you don't have to stay in those situations. You're allowed. Operation Status Quo, I'm going to give you complete control over your own life. I'm letting you know that you can do whatever you want to do and you should do it. You got to do what you want to do. You got to do what's right for you. Yeah. Hey-o. That's what we got to do. All right. So today is what is today? The 6th of September in the good year 2023. And today's program is entitled Abortion of Distortion. That's right. The concept behind this today, ladies and gentlemen, basically is, our perceptions in a sense of who we are and what we want to do in life and all that type of thing. I feel they're quite distorted based on the confines and the parameters set forth of the mainstream media and the matrix and everything else, that we're living in, the little petri dish of shit that I like to say that we're living in, ladies and gentlemen, is kind of like, formed our perceptions in general, right? And I was thinking about this a couple days ago, actually, because again, thank you to my new audience members out there that came from, Justin Carpenter. And, I know you guys, if you're watching this, if it's kind of came to me from some of the discussion I was listening to. Charlie was on yesterday, and I was listening to some of his messages. And I always appreciate what Charlie says. I enjoy his passion for what he teaches and expresses and explains and everything. But it got me to thinking, just because, obviously he's pretty hardcore on his path, and it's not about he's being a jerk or anything. He believes this is truth. I mean, the way he explains it, for people who don't know Charlie Freak, you can look him up, Freak Sense TV, or just go on Rumble. I think he's on there too, Telegram, and all that kind of stuff. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, you can search, again, Justin Carpenter as well on Telegram. He's on, he's subscribed, but I'm subscribed to his too, Telegram page, but you can look him up, and he posts all this kind of stuff. But anyway, part of like what is taught a lot in some of those aspects is, work, they refer to, walking the Christed path in a sense, right? So, all the things, and it refers to everything, what we eat, what we, our thoughts, what we put into our body, what kind of work we do, it's all about like, either you're living, basically you're either living, in the fake life of, the Matrix, or you're working your way back to oneness. I don't want to go too deep on all of it, but the basic that came to me from all that is like, I guess I start to feel guilty in some regard of some of the things that I enjoy in life and how they relate to this quote unquote path. And I'm kind of a perfectionist in certain ways, and I kind of sometimes, that's why I always tell my audience it doesn't have to be all or nothing, because I got to tell myself that a lot of times. So I just comes from the thought process of, what is the difference between, how do we kind of mitigate, say, our social programming of, what's fun, or, what's a good life, or what's happy, or, all that kind of stuff. And how do we, re-engage our connections with one another and our interplay with physical reality, as opposed to, taking the good path of doing that, as opposed to, the current, debauchery that goes on here in America, between, everything's about, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Let's do it, So, and I started thinking about this a lot, because I'm saying like, wow, like, am I like a horrible sinner because I enjoy, to drink a little bit of bourbon once in a while? Am I a horrible sinner because, I like to eat a piece of meat, once in a while? So, I started thinking about all this stuff. And then, and I guess my main thing for myself is this is how I look at it. So this is my perception. So, and my viewpoint on this way of thinking. So, I would love for your reply. So please, as you're listening, feel free to drop some comments and let me know what you think about what I'm discussing here. But, I think when we attach to anything too much, again, I talk about this a lot, you can't get all in on any one thing, and I understand that people would, who really believe in certain things would say, oh, well, the truth is the truth, and you're either following the truth or you're not following the truth. And I get that, but what I think is even a higher perspective in a sense, because this is one of the reasons I fell out of favor even with like religion and such, because it's too all or nothing, and I'm just talking about, it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? It is too, all or nothing, especially like, I had friends that were saved Christians and stuff. And, it's just such this, what got me about that part was like, if you don't say that Jesus is your personal savior, you're going to hell. And I always just thought, like, what kind of crazy concept is this? The point is, like, you have to believe it, right? It's not just about you say it and you go to church or something, right? So it has to resonate from your heart. And here's the ultimate. So let me see if I can kind of, couch this and put it in a framework here. It starts with, there's only one energy, right? The source, everything, creation, it's all, there is no separation, right? So every facet of everything we experience is all part of that oneness. And, I would like to have the opportunity to pose this question to Charlie somewhere down the line on one of the Q&A sessions that he has. But just out of, curiosity, is this like, we ultimately know, and I don't know if he agrees or not, and I'm not speaking on his behalf. I'm just saying that this conversation was kind of spawned on a little bit by some of the things that he was speaking on. Ultimately there is no separation, right? So the whole idea that we're even here as people, or these humans or whatever, is we're here because the ego believes there's separation, and there's only really one ego. Okay, so it's only like the one ego, and we're all pieces of the one ego. So it's not like we're all separate. It's source, and then the idea of separation, which is like the ego in a sense, right? So within that, this ego is still part of the creation. It's just almost like an observation of the creation, like the universe separated from itself to look at itself. Okay, so if you think of it from that perspective, everything that's happening, even the most horrible things that are going on in the world, are still part of the beauty of creation and the one source energy. And the only reason we see it in these ways of duality, is because there's the idea of separation. If all of a sudden humanity came to a spot where they don't believe in separation, right, or the realization, they kind of dissolve it, I feel that we would reabsorb into the oneness, that we already are anyway. It's just an interesting concept. So I guess from that point of view, just saying that everything is one and everything is playing out, it really, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, right? Like it doesn't mean like, just go, live like a dirty, evil life or anything. But at the same time, I mean, and it goes into multiple levels. There's all kinds of karmic stuff that goes on, and what you put out comes back. So if you're living a life a certain way, you're creating a certain energy that has to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Has to be resolved, at some point, whether it be in this lifetime or another lifetime. So ultimately, I don't necessarily believe or feel that the truth is only one path per se. I mean, yeah, it is, and it isn't. Like there is, just like anything else. Like, if you're driving to, you're driving to a restaurant you want to go to, and the restaurant is north of where you live, and you're driving south, you're not going to get to the restaurant, right? So unless you go all the way around the world, I guess, but you're not going to get to the restaurant. So, there is, obviously validity in being on a path, and what that gives to you in your life, or what kind of energy that brings, or what kind of abundance, what kind of harmony, what kind of what's the word I want to look for here? Like some sort of connectedness of your path and what you're going for. But anyway, my main point with everything, I think, really more so, if we want to just take a breath and not feel so pressured to do so many things, so perfectly the right way and everything, I just believe more so that everything comes from intent, like the intent behind what you do. So, for example, let's just take the eating meat thing, because I know that's a big deal, especially with Justin's audience and stuff, not like, oppressive. I just mean, I understand that a lot of the people that come from that audience are definitely more, vegan, frugivore, all that type of thing. So, and I'm not against it. I really, personally, I like the idea. Sometimes I think this would be really easy if I just, had a basket of fruit out every day, and I just, ate an apple, ate a couple oranges, ate a banana, ate an avocado, eat some nuts, eat some seeds. It's a lot easier than having to cook and do everything else. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think that it's evil. Like I look at the Native Americans, when they were here, and would kill a buffalo or something, right? I mean, they didn't just, have fun and just, kill a buffalo. They used everything, right? They used the skin for clothing and such. They used the bones for tools and such. Obviously the meat was used for consumption. So, but there was reverence in the way they did it, right? It wasn't like just like a slaughter fest. So, it was done with care and respect and reverence. So like the intent behind it wasn't malicious, right? So I don't necessarily feel that like they're on a path of doing something wrong that's not getting them to, a higher level. I totally get too that like, vibration and energy, like the lighter we can make our bodies, the more we can free ourselves from the physical entrapment. So there's definitely validity to, doing things certain ways for sure. I'm just trying to get more to the point of, and I'm speaking from myself in a way too, because as I try to learn and grow and be better and look at things in a different way, I want to, I want to improve, but sometimes I feel like, well, what am I going to do like all day? Just sit and like meditate or like, like I want to go have fun. Like I want to go out, like, I like going out to a restaurant or a bar, and having some fun or, going out with friends and doing things. And, I'm not saying it has to be all party, right? There's plenty of people who don't drink or any of that kind of stuff. So it's not even about that. I just feel it's more of like my grandmother has always said, everything in moderation. So, I just think it's not a bad thing per se to do some of the things that we still do. Like, here's the thing. Our world has been freaking changed, has been, so upside down from what we've been taught, right? And going back to just to finish with the point with the meat, like, the Indians did it that way, and now we have like Purdue and Tyson and whoever else that just are these mass producers of, and just, treating the animals like total shit and using them as a, product, a commodity. Like there's no reverence or care. It's just about, mass production. And, so that part of it, I agree. Like, I think to myself, well, maybe I could find like a nice middle ground. Like maybe I'll start raising my own chickens, and when I'm hungry I got to go out back and I got to kill the chicken and go through all that, and maybe I won't be so apt to eat chickens. So, but I just wanted to get on the idea of it, and of course, I do always pose the questions to you, the audience out there, because I'm interested in your feedback and what you think, but definitely, I don't know. I just think we shouldn't be so uptight totally. And every path is different and every person's different. So, some people, and that's the whole point of it too, is that I think we have to always realize that I don't think there is just one path, essentially, because the truth is we're all souls learning. And if we chose our lives and chose everything before we came here, which I do believe, then certain things that are in our life path are meant for a purpose. And so not everybody's going to be on this, like, this perfect, Christed consciousness level in a way, because if everybody was there, then there is no here, right? There's no this world. So there's always has to be this kind of, this interplay and this back and forth and such. So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of where I'm going with my thoughts today, ladies and gentlemen. Is just again, I think the most important part is intent. Like, what is the intent behind what you do? You can be the nicest person in the world, and shake somebody's hand and smile and be their buddy, and then like you're backstabbing them every which way till Wednesday. And today is Wednesday, by the way. Happy Wednesday to you, the people out there in the world. Pardon me for the musical interlude, but you know how my brain goes if you've been here on Operation Status Quo. So I guess I'm saying it maybe more to myself in a sense, because I don't put pressure on yourself to be perfect in any one regard. Like I've gone through periods, years, where I didn't eat meat, and then I went back a little bit, and then I stopped again. And quite honestly, I'm not like pro or against. I enjoy it. It's something I've had through my life. I'm just using that as an example. I mean, there's plenty of examples, but I know that's kind of a big one. It's one that sits with me a lot because I love animals so much and they're beautiful. And then I think about we're just like killing them and treating them like shit, and like I'm participating in it by purchasing it. You're right, So, but I'm not buying Purdue or Tyson. I'm always looking for free range, organic, something that I feel that the animal possibly may have been treated with some sort of courtesy and respect prior to its demise. But I had a friend of mine before I moved down here, and his wife would go to this local farm and get these chickens. And I remember they gave me a chicken one time. Well, it was already obviously ready to be cooked, but gave me a chicken, and I cooked that chicken, and I'll tell you, it was like the best chicken I think I ever ate. It was like, I called it the veal of chicken because it was so soft and delicious and tender. And anyway, the point I'm making with that is that, we're not only are we slaughtering animals in a sense, this mass production, and then we're eating the stuff which is full of hormones and crap, which is bad for us. And then, of course, we're also ingesting the negative energy that went along with that animal because its life was torture, right? So like it's torture, that all bleeds into the DNA or whatever you want to say of the animal itself. So you're consuming that fearful energy, right? So I don't think it's necessarily bad or right or wrong one way or the other. It's more of, it's about intent. It's about respect. It's about reverence. It's about being aware, and like not just doing things like mindlessly, and, we build our path over time, like little by little, we grow. We start to do things in different ways. There's plenty of things I did when I was younger that I would not do today, and just not even just physical activities or, whatever, just more so even ways of thinking and I mean, especially ways of thinking, which is really the most important thing. Again, the messages of walking this righteous path, I think are great, and I think we should. I mean, try to be our best, but I think more of it comes from the space of being true, being honest, and again, back to, reverence. I talk about that so much. And I just think that's really the most important part of it all. And we shouldn't, no matter what it is, even the good stuff, you can't lock into it because it becomes a crutch as well. And then you're just like over the top in this one way. And you're just, it's just another, it's like another way of being, I would say righteous or, self-righteous, or sometimes it is like somebody who quits smoking or something and wants to go down and tell everybody else they shouldn't smoke cigarettes, or, all that type of thing. When you find what works for you, that's great, because I think this is the Earth School. So there's all kinds of possible paths and lessons and whatever we can utilize, and however this world is set up so that we can engage and, teach ourselves to grow and learn. But when we pick, just one thing and then become tunnel vision on it and just one way, I don't know. I just think it's limiting. Because ultimately there is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. It's everything ultimately is one thing. It's source, creation, energy, and we're just little pieces of it. And our job as humans more so is just to realize that and find our way back to that space to ultimately eliminate the separation and bring the oneness back to a whole, basically. So anyway, that's basically what I think today. So I'm gonna wrap it up here with basically saying I think it's great whatever people do, whatever their path is, whatever they decide that works for them, that keeps them moving forward. Like even myself, I think I always talk about self-care, number one. If you don't take care of yourself, then nobody else is taking care of you, and you certainly don't want to trust the mainstream medical system, right? So, I have a routine of things I do every day between my exercise and my sauna and making a vegetable juice and all this stuff. Getting proper sleep. Even meditating. There's all this stuff. And that keeps me. And sometimes I don't feel like doing all that stuff, right? But it keeps me on a path. Like even doing this show, I set time aside every day to focus and do this. It keeps me on a path of being productive and focusing on the type of thoughts and actions I want to focus on to try to bring positive into the world the best I can based on who I am in this present incarnation. So, don't put pressure on yourselves for trying to be perfect in any way. I think I do that myself a lot. And when I see some of the things I see, and some of the ideas I hear, and I'm kind of think, oh man, it's like, wow, it'd be so perfect just to live this little life by the waterfall and, pick a fruit off the tree. And I don't know, I'm not looking to go, to the clubs all night long or anything, but, I like getting out and socializing and, how do we socialize? What becomes the new norm of socialization if we, kind of take away all the stuff that we're used to? And I don't think anything should be excessive. Again, let me just stress, it's not about being like an alcoholic or going out and doing 50 lines of Coke or something. It's not about being excessive and, all that kind of thing. It's really just about, having space, being mindful, being responsible, taking care of your business, staying focused on your path, and knowing, because we all know whether we're being an asshole or not, like quite honestly, right? I mean, like deep inside, whether somebody finds out or doesn't find out or, whatever, somebody tells you, doesn't tell you. I mean, and God knows, so you can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to God. So, you have to be real with yourself. And, the more you're live that way. And I've spoken on this before too, of just I see how my life flows so much nicer over these years since I've done more and more of that type of work. So maybe I will get to the point one day where I'm just, zenned out, with like a halo over my head and I'm juggling some avocados, I mean, who knows what'll happen, but, for now it is what it is. And we're all on each step of our journey, and I think the most important thing is just to do it from the proper intent. You can't lie to yourself. So, I mean, well, you could, I guess you could try to, but ultimately, right? If you have an evil thought, if you did something because you wanted to be spiteful or get back at somebody or anything, right? So I think that's the most important takeaway, because ultimately, again, I'm going to wrap it up because ultimately there is no separation and it's all one energy. So even everything is God. Everything is God. So even the bad stuff, because you can't, it's just every action equal an opposite reaction. I mean, it's just plain and simple. So for the greatest good, there's the worst evil and everything in between. And it's all part of the oneness, and it's all designed for us to go through the cycles that we go through to learn, to find our way back to home, back to oneness. So maybe not in this life, maybe next life, I'll come back and, be like, maybe I'll come back and me and Charlie Freak will be brothers. And I'll be able to live the path, the right path, from the right side of the brain, not the left side of the brain. But seriously, I'm not making fun. I give him a lot of credit for, being so passionate about what he teaches, and for following, his heart in that way and trying to teach it to other people. And the information is great, and it always makes me feel good to listen to, and it makes a lot of sense. But I mean, ultimately it is hard work to be human and to find our way. We're fighting against a system that's programmed us to do everything from, the other way. So now we're trying to find our way back, to more, holistic, ways of engaging with our physicality, our world, and, our emotions, everything. So there's going to have to be a little leeway in there to, help us all out. But anyway, that's basically what it is. So, don't put pressure on yourself. Stay positive, do what's best for you, step by step, little steps at a time, just like with a diet. You don't have to go from eating, total junk food to all of a sudden you're just eating this, right? Sometimes it takes time. You have to, you start to do little substitutions and you make little changes here and there. And before you know it, you're have a whole new diet plan. So it's the same thing with everything else, whether it be your religion, your spirituality, whatever you want to say, your mission in life, I don't know, whatever. You just take your little steps one by one and you build as you go. And, but I think we should enjoy life, and we're all different people, different personalities from different places with different traditions and all kinds of stuff. And I just think that we should, enjoy as long as it's done in a place of respect, reverence, responsibility, and positive intent. So that's what I got for you here today, ladies and gentlemen, on Operation Status Quo. I thank you so much for your time, as I always do. Please, if you haven't done so already, like, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. I love each and every one of you individually as well as a group. God bless you out there, and until tomorrow, Operation Status Quo, disengaged.